Well, hi everyone, and thank you for being here. This is just a very little impromptu gathering, and I have here my task ambassadors and a soon-to-be task ambassador, Shania. But what I want to do is kind of get an idea of what task did for you, give everyone a sense of what task does and why we have task, and how far you've gotten and when you came and everything that you've implemented. We're going to start first with introduction of who you are and give us an idea of your agency name and when you came to task, and then we can go from there and how it's helped you. And Christina, we'll start with you. And I know you just came a year ago and you're coming onto another task live in January. I'm really excited, but that's what task agents do. They keep furthering their education. But go ahead and tell us a little bit more about you and your agency.
Hi, I'm Christina Garcia, and like Tammy said, I came to task for the first time in June of last year. It was absolutely life-changing. I've been in the industry now 19 years, but last year I saw the most growth that I could have ever even possibly dreamt of, and I contribute that to having gone to task. I am based down in Galveston, Texas, and I'm the owner of Point Me to Paradise Travel. And I do have ICs now under me that I'm bringing to task this year or
Good.
January.
And they're ICs. You're not hosting them. You're doing what I'm doing, which is bringing them in. Exactly.
And I'll
That's the growth that we want, is building your name and your company. And Tony joined us. Oh, you look so much better. And she's brighter. Okay, this will work. But right now we're introducing ourselves. So with that said, thank you, Christina. And I'm going to ask you more questions. Let's move over. Tony joined us. Tony Anderson. I don't even remember when she came to task, but I could look it up real quick. But in the meantime, she'll tell us a little bit about herself and her agency. And right now she's on a cruise. So if she's spotty, that's the reason why. But go ahead, Tony.
Okay, my name is Tony Anderson. The name of my business is TAE Travel. I'm located in Houston, Texas. Cruises is my baby. I'm actually on one now. Um, I went to task many, many years ago. Don't recall when, but I done went to task 1, 2, and I also did a fam trip to Egypt with Tammy. And I will be on the cruise in January.
And we're going to come back and I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Shania, tell us about our story, because you have not gotten to task yet. But you will be, and you're going to be completely expanding and exploding in your business. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Shania out of Atlanta. Company is Deluxe World Travels. I host luxury group trips. Also do wedding planning here locally. So I would love to get into destination weddings as well with the groups. And I met Tammy a couple years ago at the airport. We were flying out, just so happened to be headed the same destination on the same flight. And she began to tell me about Task and what it is she does for travel agents, alleviating the host and the middleman. And so here I am finally 2 years later, joining Task, and I'm looking forward to learning and soaking everything up and implementing it into my business and scaling. Looking forward to the future.
That's great. I call her my airport girl. So that's my famous airport girl. I tell the story everywhere. She's got some video footage too. Her husband was taking videos of us talking and yakking everywhere. And I'm like, see, we're going to need that footage one day. So I have a question for you, Christina. And then I can have you guys talk within yourselves too. But I do have a question for Christina. So you decided to do the IC route, which I said to you was a really great idea because it really boosts your name, your company. So that's what I have. I at one point I had 27 people working for me, a little too much. And we've been discussing that to hone it down, because if you're not doing a certain number, then I don't need you there just to take up space or my brain space. That's a better option. See, it's the brain space that takes away from us. It's not really physical space. So, how are you able to, how many people do you have now?
Including myself, there are 15 of us, and we are at a good number there. We did, I do model things after the way you do. And I wanted to make sure that I was treating my agents right and that they were doing me right, like you said, boosting my name and representing me. And I do all of the training as far as the agent part goes, just to make sure that they will be giving our clients the best possible service.
And do you supply the number one problem that we have in our industry is when they go with a host and they don't get any leads. So then why are they going? They might as well go on their own or go with somebody like you to work for you. So are you supplying them the leads as well? They can get their own, obviously, but are you working towards that?
We actually have, that's why we have more agents because I am supplying leads. I end up with more than I want, and some of them are out of my wheelhouse. So I give them to some of the agents that may specialize in that area more so than I do. And we also train them how to get leads. And we have one agent who is right at a year in and already has 176 trips.
Wow, that's great. Excellent. So I'm glad you picked that up. And of course, you're more profitable than we were before because we learned how to book, how to buy, with our inventory. Again, it's inventory. You don't go into the grocery store and get a bag of groceries that are filled and you say, oh, that's $100. I'm going to buy that. You fill that bag, but you got to know what every single item is that you're buying. And then you're able to be more profitable because now you can compare it with the way that I've taught you to compare, because we cannot live on crumbs, I should call them, of some of them are 10%. Some hotels, I think, aren't some hotels like at 8% still? Like, I don't know, like Marriott's, Hyatt's or something like that. They only give us like 8%. Disney is like 6. So, but there's not much we could do with those. But then moving on, we have others. So instead of making, your standard of your smaller amounts, you've learned to scale that. But then it helps the client as well. You're able to give them a better deal because now you are comparing with onlines. Before, you cannot be comparing with them because all they gave was price, inventory, no customer service. Now you gave customer service, but you didn't have the price and inventory. So now you've got every element, but you have customer service, which they lack on, right? So you'll be able to scale that even better as we go. And I'm glad you're coming back a year later and there's more. I mean, we have FAMs, we got a million things going on. Let's jump to you, Tony. So, Tony, I know that you specialize in cruises, and I've tried for many years to get you to sell land. But what is one thing that we do a task that, of course, you're not going to see anywhere else, that we work together? You needed help with a land package, and share that experience.
Okay. I had a client that wanted to me, it was complicated. To Tammy, it was very simple. But they wanted to do London and Paris, and they had all these requests, and I started it, and then I just realized it was over my head. And so the good part about being a task member is that we can call on Tammy, and I basically introduced Tammy to them, and Tammy took over, and we made a lot of money for for one, but she was there to help me through the whole process, and she basically let me learn. I was also learning of how to do this kind of package, even though I had learned those packages, how to do them at tasks, but because I don't do them on a regular, I needed that refresher course. So that's another reason why I'm going on a cruise, so I can get that refresher course part of it. It was a great experience.
But even with the cruises that you do, Tony, you still have pre and post. You have people that want to do that. You got to add tours. You got to add transfers. There's so many elements to doing that. It's not just a cruise. Hey, go on a cruise. You know that everybody wants everything along with that. And we work together, like even on this cruise. I'm gonna share with everyone, even for task, I could have booked it under my IATA. I could have easily booked it. Could I have not booked this under my IATA, Tony? 30 years. I mean, I have my own auto with the cruise. And I said, Tony, is this going to help you get you to the next level with Royal Caribbean? Because I don't sell that many cruises. So I know that it's going to help her. So on our task cruise, I swear on everything, I booked it under Tony's IATA. So she can get the credit for it and she could build that part of the business. And right. And we don't have that kind of relationship between groups or hosts or consortias or anybody. No one gives a shit. And I'm going to say that flat out English about anyone but themselves. And I think that's what makes a difference with Task, because I genuinely care about your success. I care that Tony says, okay, hopefully it'll help me get to that next level. She needs to get to that next level. For me, a cruise doesn't mean anything. And just like when she came to me with her ground trip, it doesn't mean anything to her, but it does to me working with her and helping her with that. So we work together, but she's not the only one. I have other agents that I work with as well like this. And that's what I want to see in the industry that we don't have. We had it years ago, but we don't have it anymore. But as a Task family, which we call ourselves, we're bringing that back. You know what I mean? If Christina, you need something, or if I have the fam and you want to bring people on, I've told Shania, you want to bring people in the fam, this is the way to do it. It becomes your trip with 30 people instead of just 6 or 8. And it helps you out in the long run. I'm here to help you in the long run. So, and I appreciate you, Tony. I always do. You know that. Thank you. Shania, tell us a little bit about your model. And I know that I've been hounding you for 2 years. I know that. You probably didn't want to hear from me anymore. Then what made you finally say, I have to listen to Tammy?
Whew. Okay. So building the trip. So trying to do it through the host and figure out which supplier is going to give the most bang for the buck while also a good commission. It's a little challenging to make sure like all the work that I do to go into building these trips, because I do like to do my own itinerary from scratch. I don't really like to go based off something they recommend, even though it may be a popular highlight. So anyways, after, coming up with my formula for how I build the group trip, um, trying to make sure I do a markup to keep in the business account and then have my commission on top of that. It's not that I don't want to count people's money to say that my trips were overpriced and people couldn't afford them, because we do have clients that go on the trip, but to make it kind of like competitive still, to where I'm making a good commission and also being able to have that trip have a lot of to it, whereas some stuff going on that actually gets you excited about looking at this destination. And so reaching out to Tammy, it was just timing. I had got my back end together with building the website. I was doing things in Travel Joy to begin with, so it worked for a while. I did sell 3 really good trips out of Travel Joy, and it just wasn't enough for me because I wanted to do more with the client, like email marketing and things like that. So after having somebody build the website and create my back end for me, then it was like just perfect timing to let go of the host and kind of make that transition, because now I think that, okay, I've had some experience, I've had some really successful trips, but now with the back end being ready to go, I'm ready to take on more clientele and do what I really want these group trips to look like. And that's why I decided to go ahead and get on board. Stop wasting
And
time.
we've been talking, we've been comparing a lot. I also want to mention that Tony has a host model. However, there's a difference. And if you listen to me when I do speak and I do these little mini commercials or whatever it is, I always say, you could be with the host if it's the right host. And the right host to me is the one that shares every knowledge that we are learning, right? With their agents so they can be profitable as well. And I believe, Tony, that's how you run your model as a host, because you don't just take their money and that's it. You train them. I every time I'm talking to her, it's like another training, which is completely eliminated in the host world, right? There is no training. We know that. And then she also encourages them to come to Task, Right. And she encourages them to come to task because they have their own agency. Yeah. So, in order for them to grow their business, but it's a totally different model because she'll share in what she learned. She's not holding back and saying, "Oh, you know, you just started, so you're going to make the least amount there is, and I'm going to take the most out of you." You know what I mean? And this is one thing that I have a problem with, or I have a problem with you're leaving. I have employees that have left me because one retired, and I still paid her for all the work that she's done. I don't understand this model of you did the work, it's your client, but if you try to leave me, I'm just going to take all your money. I think there should be a law against that. There's something not right with that at all. You can hold on to it until they leave. There's no chargebacks. You want to hold it on to it for 4 to 6 months. That's fine. That's your prerogative. But I still believe I've earned that right to receive my money. You know what I mean? You've earned it. And one thing that we learn in task is to get your profit up front. Right, Christina? I mean, I don't know if you've implemented that or not. Is there anything that you guys want to ask me or about the next level? Or we lost Tony. Um, and is there anything there that you feel like you want to ask me moving forward? Or any advice that you want to give to each other, especially like Shania, she's brand new and coming on board and she's going to be overwhelmed. Now, that's something, Christina, that you could share with everyone, how overwhelming it is coming to task. And that's why I prepared, isn't that a great idea, 4 webinars beforehand? So you are more prepared when you come. And I encourage everyone to come on that. I mean, we're spending another 20 hours together.
Yes, all of the information can be overwhelming, but the excitement and the momentum that you're going to feel afterward, it does linger. So, you're going to have that high that will propel you through. You're going to be excited. It's mind-blowing, honestly.
Well, I think the funnest part is the profit mastery class. That's the funnest part, especially when I'm yelling because none of you get it. And then, something happens. I don't know what, Shania, something happens and they go, "Oh, I get it." After about 4 or 5 hours of this, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I get so deflated. And then all of a sudden they get it. But we're gonna be doing a little bit of that. Whoever signs up for the class, which I think is everyone at this point, to do a little bit of that work ahead of time. So we just get right into it when we're there and to know. And what do you think is also challenging for you, Christina? Is the vendors and the people that I've mentioned to you a little challenging? And I mean, it's setting up.
I'm the vendors. I don't know. You've got me going down rabbit holes. I can't probably speak of it on this webinar, but you've got me going down rabbit holes on the daily. And the manager that I have appointed to my agency is like, "Okay, enough of this." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand." So I'll explain more of that to you later. But challenging for me sometimes is still having DMC connections that I trust.
Okay.
If there is a country that I would need one, and I know how to do the whole, put it together myself, but there are occasions and certain clients that I feel more comfortable if they have someone in destination supporting them.
Right. And we can get those just about for any country. One of the things that you've been now to task twice, you're coming again. I really suggest that you come with me. I go every year to ITB. We need to come with a group to ITB and go to Berlin. First, we'll have fun. Second of all, you will be so overwhelmed. You're just going to look at it and go, "Are you kidding me? How are we going to do this?" But there is a tactical way to do it. I didn't do that the first time. I was going around in circles and I realized I need to hone in on what I'm doing. And I did that the second year. And by the third year, I knew exactly what I was going to do. So it's very easy to find DMCs that way and that you meet them there in person. In fact, Shania and I were talking about that the other day. I'm doing a DMC for Turkey, but I'm not doing one for Greece because I'm Greek and I do it and I had one. and I could do it myself with my eyes closed. I don't use a DMC in London, but I have one in France. I have one in Spain if I want to use it, but most of the time I don't. So I think it really depends on what you're looking for and how many people you have going and why do you need that DMC? What makes you feel like there's a crutch there that you need that DMC? Do you see what I'm saying? For me, I feel I don't need them unless they're going to wow me with their rates and their service and everything else that they have, because I end up dropping them more than keeping them after I use them for a trip or two. I'm not satisfied with the level of service that I expect for my clients. If I'm going to do it myself, I'll do it myself and I could be more profitable and I can in turn give that to my clients. But you're charging me a fee, right, to do your service as a DMC, and then you're not giving me the level of service that I want either. You know what I mean? So that's like, I have somebody now for a DMC for a group and she doesn't respond to me. So if I don't have a response, it's very difficult to work with you. And you think it's normal for you because you're in Europe to respond to me a week later. Oh, we had this holiday, or we had that going on, blah, 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 blah. No, I need what's going to happen when they're there. God forbid I needed something, that's a challenge. And Shania, tell me, you're doing your group now, and we went over that. And what's been your challenges? Because it's piecemeal. I mean, it's everywhere. And we talked about this too. Both of you, all of you who are listening. I don't know what happened to Tony, but we never, ever, ever, ever get a rate from a tour operator anymore without knowing what we're buying. Because you don't know what you don't know. And Shania, tell me about your group and your experience now versus I'm talking to you and we compared.
Yeah, I do want to touch on what you all spoke to, because I will say, I think I try to let go of the whole perfectionism of it all, but I can't help but to want the perfect experience for my clients. I don't know. It gives me joy. It's why I do what I do. You already are taking this big leap of faith and taking a trip across the world, and you're spending your money. Why wouldn't you expect it to be, a grand experience? And that's the joy I get from hosting the trips and trying to make sure that the DMC and myself are in alignment. As it's for so many different reasons. When you touched on whether it's the itinerary, but I will point out, for example, best tour guide I ever had in Colombia. The itinerary did not have a lot as my previous trips, but when I tell you the clients loved it so much just because this person spoke so passionately about every place we went. If the drive was an hour, 90 minutes to get to the location, he had us so, like, you in the beginning of the ride, I can see the clients kind of like this in their phone. And then about 15 minutes into his story, nobody's looking at the phone. Everybody's just kind of glued and drawn in because he was such a good storyteller. And I missed that on the trip to Bali. The Bali trip was slam packed. They did so many fascinating things. They had really good pictures. But where I made the mistake was, because it saved me money, which I probably still could have found it for the same price if I just would have searched a little bit harder or known where to go. I chose a tour guide who also offered photography and videography services. And on the tours, it wasn't the same like educational experience where, of course, we're going to this temple or this waterfall, but why is this a place that all the tourists go to? Because it's a touristy place. Okay, what else? And just to kind of walk us and talk us through like the history and the culture and the things that make people understand and connect with, us on the other side of the world. And so everything went fine, but that was something that I took back with me, was like, I have to make sure I know that this person is going to be very thorough when it comes to guiding the group. Are you just literally like for safety, or are you actually, storytelling and being educational when we're going on some?
See, now here's the issue. You said something that I'm going to touch on. It was the guide, not necessarily the DMC. The DMC is your destination management company, but you're looking more for that guided service, that genuine storytelling. I know this trip like no other. I live here and I know it well. That's where I like it as well. But these are what I do. I'm going to give you a great example. We have Sardinia coming up on our trip. Okay. I always go before my FAMs. I always go, so I know how to put them together or what to do on the FAMs. I had my tour guide on the FAM. We had a DMC for Sardinia. He was getting extremely greedy, so my rates to Sardinia would have been like $1,000 more per person, and it was all him, not anything that I was doing or marking up. And I said, no, we're not going to have that. However, when I do these tours, when I go on these tours, when I go on these excursions, and I go on these other FAMs, or it doesn't matter where I am in the U.S., I'm going to give you some, and I'm going to give this to our advisors as a tip. It's a huge tip for you right now, and you guys are learning a lesson here. I don't hire DMCs because I could do my own ground transportation. I could do my own hotel and a better rate at that. What I need you for is that experience. So why the hell would I hire DMC to overcharge me for everything else when honestly, all I need is that, right? So when I went to Sardinia twice, I said, wow, she was an amazing tour guide. I need her as my tour to Cagliari when we go. And I love the tour that I had in Alghero. I need her. And then I need someone in Faros. So I always get their phone numbers every single time that I go on a trip. And I got their information and I went to them directly. And I'm going to be honest with you here. And I'm just going to tell you a fact. So, we have 20 people going to Sardinia. Every DMC, every company was charging me per person for that tour, right? That's what they do. Per person. And I said to her, and it was about $150 per person for the tour. Okay, that sounds reasonable. It's 3 hours long. It's a walking tour, lunches, and it's a lot. Okay, so $150 to me, it doesn't sound a lot when you look at Viator and you're looking at the same thing. Then I went to her and she says, I'm going to charge you $300 for the entire group. So she gave it to me at that. I gave it to my task agents and the Sardinia trip for that, because for me, I'm not going to nickel and dime. But if you add that one tour, the difference in price, and add the other tour, the difference in price, and the third one, because they all told me the same thing. That's all they were charging me. So there's one in Tharos, and she's like, she charged me, but it was like $15 a person. Okay, it comes out to the same amount of money, not $150. Do you see what I'm saying? So that is one element that you can get rid of by looking at that. If you're not sure who to use, Shania, since you're brand new, we're going to ask you, who do you think that I should go to if I don't know? Who should I go to be able to guide me and say to me, that's the best DMC that we know and that we work with? Who do you think that I should go to if I don't know? Not even DMC, tour guide.
If I don't know, I'm going to come and ask you first, of course.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, Tammy Wiki. But if you don't ask me, who, or if I don't know, who are you going to go to that would honestly know in that country?
I would go to the tourism board.
Okay. Where would you go, Christina?
Probably the same.
And I go to the hotels because they work with them day in and day out.
I've actually done that.
I would go to the hotel and ask them because they work with him all the time. The tourism board is going to give me generic list. Here you go. Here's a list of 5, 6 that we have. But the hotel sees these people and how they work and how they do everything. And that's usually where I'm going to end up with, is talking to the hotel and concierge and saying, listen, I have a group. I need a great tour guide. Do you know somebody that does the tour guides for the city tour or whatever? Oh, yes, we have this person, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I got the tour guide in Alghero for my tour, for my group.
Even locally, I get information from our local hotels when I need to know something like that. Like, who are the best drivers to the ports? Who are the most dependable? that type of thing, I always go to my hotels and I ask.
Yeah. So I that's the one thing that I do. The second thing is that I when I need somebody hand holding, right? And I want a wow experience and including my transportation, not just taking me from one spot to the other, because I do have places that we do that are just transfers. And I have 3 or 4 sources for that. I love to go to somebody like, and I don't mind sharing it on here, is somebody like a day trip who's going to take the client. Have you guys used them? Right. No? Oh, amazing. You're going to take them from point A to point B, but they have in between if you want a 1 hour tour here on the way, whatever's on the way, another hour tour, and it's all personalized. So you add the tours in there. Are they cheap? Hell no. They are expensive. But if you were to compare it to a DMC, when you only have 2 people going or 4 people going, I had 6 people going as a family. This is a much better option than me hiring a DMC just to go from one location to the other location to be able to also do that and give them the experience along the way. So there's a lot of other options. And I'm not saying stop what you're doing. I'm saying we have to be profitable and we have to be smart. And just like we said, just like a consortia, just like your tour operator, and just like your host, you got a pie, right? And now you're in charge of your whole pie and you're making all this money. And if you want to give something back, you're going to give it to your client. That's where you're going to give it. But you have this whole pie and then your host takes half. And then your tour operator took a quarter, and now you have you're going to end up with one little piece of that pie, and there's nothing to give to your clients. You're not giving them better service or better something that you want to do for them. And the same thing goes with a DMC because they're going to be making the money along the way. I mean, here's proof of it. He's charging me $150 per person. Just me, I'll do the whole group for $300. Not only did she do that, but I needed a restaurant in San Teodoro and I needed a restaurant in Crowgiddy. She lives there. I go, where do you suggest a restaurant that you could bring my group in? This is my budget. Can you do it? Yes. Sends me the menu. She's my interpreter back and forth. Now we set up this beautiful, unusual restaurant that's underground in a cave, getting all this experience from that same tour guide. And what the DMC, I'm sure, was going to mark it up and make money off of that. Right?
Right.
So we have to start working more. We have to work harder in learning to do this ourselves. Right? That's the whole key of Task. Task is making you a real travel advisor. That's what Task does. If you're one of these that's with a multi-level company and you're doing your 1 trip a year for yourself, you stay there. I don't want you. But if you're looking at this as to do and grow and build your business and your brand and become a true travel advisor, then this is the program that you need to be in because I'm going to teach you from the beginning of how to put everything together. I gave someone homework the other day and I told her, no, you got to do it over again. I know exactly what you did. You copy and paste it from another tour that you found. If I asked you, where'd you find this ABC tour right now? You couldn't answer me because you copied and pasted it. Find it yourself and then come back to me. I know I'm a little hard, aren't I, Christina?
She is. I was teasing her at the Task last year. I said she's the Abby Lee Miller of travel agents.
Yeah, Shania knows. I've yelled at her. She hasn't even come to Task. So what else? Last thoughts for our agents out there. I don't know where we lost Tony. You know what? Tony's on a cruise. Okay, well, we're sitting here working. She's on a cruise again. She goes on a cruise every single week. I don't know how she does it. So any word of advice to advisors or you, listen, you've been doing this 19 years and you had your most profitable year last year doing what I taught you. Okay. And we're talking no bullshit, right? When I tell people I could double your profit, at least, if not more.
Yeah, you're definitely telling the truth. It's no bones about it. She's definitely telling the truth. When I look at where I was a year ago compared to now, my mind still is blown. I can hardly believe it. Just going, wow, a year ago, thinking about where I was and the way I was doing things, it's just completely turned upside
And just
down.
think of the 19 years of all the money. I've been doing this way for over 15 years. Imagine if you had started that 15 years ago, where you would be today. Let's not think about that. Yeah. And Shania, it's not too late for you. Look, we're getting you out of that trap.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm actually glad that you had this call so that I could hear Christina's story, you know? I like that.
Yeah. So we have a long way to go, but we're going to get you there. And again, this is my reward. My reward is seeing your success. I really, people say, "What are you going to do?" Now I live in Crete, Greece, in a beautiful Crete, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to get bored." No, I do this every day with all of you, right? I'm not bored. Number one, and I party too much at night. But besides that, I love it here. And what is funny is this is something that I love to do. It doesn't matter how old I get. It doesn't matter what it is. My wisdom, and I call myself now wisdom. I didn't think of that last year, but I do have wisdom, and I've done this, and I've made the mistakes. So instead of you making the mistakes, before you make that mistake, come to me and say, "Hey, this is what's happening," or whatever. You know, and then how I can help you. Even the simplest of things. So I'm going to give you another example. I had a client. I never do seating for clients. Ever, 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 ever. I give them the record locator. Go in there and get your own seats. Because what's going to happen is they're going to tell me they want a middle and a window. And then he says, "No, I want an aisle and a middle." And I have to do it again and again. "Oh, we want to refer. Oh, we changed our minds. Now we want to pay for the seats." I'm out of that. I booked your tickets. I didn't make anything on booking your tickets. Your job, here's your record locator. Go book your seats. Well, this is an older couple. They didn't do it. They're leaving next week. Shut up. Don't even go there. They're leaving next week. He texts me. He goes, "I logged in and I noticed that my wife is sitting up here on the plane, but I'm all the way in the back of the plane. Is there any way to get us together?" I'm like, "You have got to be kidding me." He never booked his seats. He's leaving next week for Italy. So I go on the chart and everything is booked up. It's the same way. One here, one there, whatever. So what do you do in that situation? You call the airline because they do block seats. Believe it or not, they block their own set of seats. And when I called, I said, "I really need a supervisor. I have a major problem. I have this elderly couple and they need each other on the plane and she needs him more than he needs her," whatever the heck I said. I said, "We need to have them together." And they unblocked seats for me to get them together. Would you rather me put them for there? Because sometimes you see it and you're like, okay, one here, one there, one there. But honestly, they blocked them. They blocked rows. Okay. They opened them, they released them little at a time. So I went ahead and did that. And then today he goes, because he gave it to me yesterday, last night. And today I had it done, but I had to go to the airline. And he goes, "Wow, you're so fast." I'm like, dude, it was like having a heart attack the whole time, saying they're not going to sit together. All their flights were like that. They were just given, assigned, whatever. I think 2 of the flights I found seats together, but the rest of them, no, there weren't anything together. Thinking, well, maybe he could switch with that one. I'm like, wait, it's too much work. Let me call the airline and do it. So simple things like that. I mean, it doesn't sound simple, but that's where I come in, where you may have a dilemma, you may have a problem, and I'm there to help you or solve that problem. Shania had a problem because she booked a hotel that you couldn't get into the bed, but I don't think she noticed that. I go to her, "Who chose this hotel?" She goes, "Well, the clients really liked it." I go, "I don't think they realized," this is in Japan, mind you, "I don't think they realized that they can't get into the bed on the left or the right. They have to climb into the bed. There's a wall and there's something else on the left. There is no way to get to the bed." What?
I said from the foot.
I could see your mom's going? I could see your mama trying to get in there. Yeah, okay. Could see me trying to get in there. You have to climb into the bed. I'm like, what kind of hotel is this? Where are we right now? But things like that. She may not have caught it. She didn't catch it. I can tell you that for sure. She didn't catch it. She just looked at it and client said, "Yeah, it's great." And they're going to go in their room. We need another room because we can't get into the bed. You're going to get out. You have to pee in the middle of the night. You have struggling to get out, climbing over the other person.
God forbid there's a hotel fire.
Oh my God. But that's how we learn, So now we look at a room and say, "Oh shit, what is that?" There's no left or right to the bed. They have to crawl out of it. Oh my God. But that's how you learn. But it's all good. It's exciting. And you know that you can always come here. So any word of advice to the advisors that are out there, Christina, since you've done this, been there, done it?
Just don't put off coming. Don't just look at it and go, I'll come later and procrastinate, because literally time is money. The more
How did you find me?
Put it off.
It is money, a lot of money. How did you find me? I forgot.
I was watching YouTube, and then you were the next video that popped up, and I never watch YouTube.
That was the next one. That wasn't the first one.
Right, you were the one after the video I was watching. And then I was like, who is this? And then I started to research, and then I sent you a Facebook message, and then a few weeks later you messaged me and said, call me right now.
And that's how that happened. And we know, Airport Girl, how we met over drinks. That's the best way to meet. At a bar, it's her birthday. Mine just passed. She orders a Prosecco. I order Prosecco. I'm like, who is this girl ordering Prosecco? And her poor husband, we're yakking. He's not saying one word. He's just listening to us and watching us. We hit it off the minute we met. It was just like, bam. So, well, I'm glad, and I thank you for making it on this call. I really appreciate your time. Get back to studying. Get back to getting ready for task. I'm going to see you guys soon on our general call, because we have to get things set up. It may be repetitive for you, Christina, but I doubt it, because there's going to be a lot of new things that you're not familiar with.
I noticed there were a lot of new things on the schedule that we didn't do. So
yeah, there's going to be a lot of newer things. Great. AI for sure. AI, definitely how to use it, what to do with it. I'm talking to somebody huge tomorrow. He's the owner of a huge AI platform. He's got interest in doing a lot with me as his little prototype for Elite Travel. So if that works, all of you follow along. If it doesn't work, then I don't tell you to follow along. I'm the one that's got to fail first.
She does.
That's one good thing. And Shania, what advice do you have?
Just don't stop. Don't give up. It is rough in the beginning. It's so much to learn. And like you said, it's one of those industries where you got to find the right person to kind of get you under their wing to keep on rolling, or else you're with a host agency and you're going to be self-taught, and then you're only as good as you're going to get by teaching yourself. And so I am glad to say that, 4 years in, even though I could have been 2 years in and have started with you, that I'm able to take this opportunity so I can be, like Christina, 19 years later. And like she said, time is money. So whatever you do, just don't stop learning.
Excellent. Well, thank you, ladies, and have a great day and keep selling. Chop, chop.
Bye.
Bye.